Welcome everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me. Welcome to the Strategies of Collaboration. My name is Annie Linden. I'm the Assistant Director for Educational Equity and Support. Joining us today is my colleague, Kara Blackwood, and Kelsey Bless, who is the Permanency Administrator for Children and Family Services. I tend to be a fast presenter in hopes of time for discussion at the end. Please type in the chat feature as I go along. Today's agenda covers opportunities for communication, the EASA reauthorization, assurances, points of contact, placement notifications, partnerships, best interest determination, and transportation. Reauthorization, for those of us who are seasoned in education know ESEA has been reauthorized, changed, amended on several occasions. Its foundation has always been built on both equality and equity for all children. For many years, child welfare carried the stability torch alone. ESSA 2015 brings in a strong focus on collaboration by reiterating the importance of stability from both of our agencies. Many of the new Title I provisions reinforce and complement those in fostering connections, and both emphasize the shared responsibility of education and child welfare agencies in promoting the well-being of children placed out of the home. Assurances. The ESSA changes were made to try and bring alignment with the Ed Law and Fosters Connection Act to ensure an established working relationship between child welfare and educational advocates. Agencies must provide documentation of assurances in the ESSA state plan. Assurances are federal guidelines of things that need to be signed off on or proof in order to receive federal funding. However, momentarily, we do not receive specified federal funding under the foster care. The assurances that ensure collaboration between LEA and CWA are the point of contact, school of origin, and transportation. All of the other requirements fall within the documentation of these assurances. Points of contact. The LEA must designate a point of contact with child welfare agencies when the responsible child welfare agency notifies the school that has a specified caseworker to work with them. Each county and regional agency must ensure that school liaisons and caseworkers are consulted as part of the best interest decision-making process and are informed of the authorized point of contact entering a placement into ND Teach. Some states require each school to have their own foster care liaison, which does make sense for larger districts. Notification of placement. Notification is the hot topic of a confusion. The calls I've been receiving are in reference to, how do I see or know what kids are in my district? Who enters the data? How do I know when they have been placed? I have tons of hard copy notification. Who's supposed to enter them? How do I access North Dakota Teach? And the evidence of the confusion is in the data. I have been sending out reminders for unsubmitted notifications. Some of you have received some. They are the same date, doubled entries, and others are clicking on save and forgetting to click on submit. And some counties have invalid emails listed under the last section of it, part 4, where it says agency making a notification. The word immediate is used in ESSA for the LEA foster care liaisons to ensure custodial agencies are immediately provided with the foster care ID numbers. We need to discuss a better way to connect with the authorized personnel making the notification. At the end of these slides, I'm eager to hear from everyone what has been working for them. Partnerships. Many of the new Title I foster care provisions reinforce and complement those in the fostering connections, and both statutes emphasize the shared responsibility of educational and child welfare agencies in promoting the well-being of children in foster care. The partnership, in summary, is we need to communicate more with one another in order to convey a safe and stable environment to the child. School may be the only consistency they have, and children need stability for trust to flourish. Best interest determination. Child welfare agencies are required to develop educational stability plans, and LEAs are required to document any formal processes and decisions. So it's critical that all advocates establish a working relationship. We do provide a template for the BID. You can make your own or put ours on your letterhead. We all know scheduling can be a nightmare, and our weekly schedules are overwhelmed with meetings, but they're important in the life of a child. The BID is critical to their stability. Anyone and everyone should be invited to participate in two overarching factors: the appropriateness of current educational setting and proximity of placement. On the second page or the back page of the BID, the LEA can type in everyone that was invited, and there's a place for signatures that are required. This is an assurance for the state documentation. Okay, wait a minute. We have some people that still can't hear. Can you comment?
They are, yep, the rest can hear.
Okay, so Eric is having everyone else. Okay.
Hi.
All right, I will continue. We're on transportation. There have been some instances in larger districts where a foster child needs transportation to remain in their school of origin, which is another reason we need open communication. Memorandum of Understanding is another assurance for both agencies. In hopes of consistency, we provide a transportation template on our website. Again, you may put in your letterhead or create your own. And the second page of it also arranges signatures of invite and attendance for the documentation. Our website's guidance and resources offer transparency for both agencies. To summarize the slides, or if you will, the communicative procedures, I suggest we agree to exchange our point of contact forms for the student's files, communicating who the welfare agency authorized ND Teach person is, when a placement is entered into the ND Teach, date stamp in the hard copy and forwarded into the student's file. Set up a stability placement meeting with the teacher, school, social worker, custodial worker, parents, guardians, most importantly the student, communicating to him or her. We are all working together to ensure consistency, stability, and trust. This way, should any possible changes or concerns arise, everyone is aware of all advocates and contacts. That concludes my input. If you state your name and role, Kelsey and I would appreciate questions and ideas. And before you start, all of this is recorded, and we will send out the email of the PowerPoint later. What do we have for questions?
Nothing yet, Deb is typing.
Oh.
They can ask the question if they unmute, can't they?
Yep, yep.
Usually
If they unmute it, they can ask questions, or they can type them out. We can read them.
Is there a way for liaisons to gain access to
Hi, Doug. Okay, Deb, well, is there a way for liaisons to gain access? Are you talking the educational point of contact?
I can't find that PowerPoint, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do you know what's up with the meat? He butchered some steers. Talking about it one time, but I don't know if
He took them over there.
When was that?
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, right?
No.
on the education side. We don't have the education. They are not the agency that puts in or agency of notification. It's a specific personnel, but I've gotten a lot of requests that do want the access to it.
I don't know, Thursday?
Oh, okay.
It was just at the end of the week.
Oh, I thought he was
Or
talking about a
Friday,
long
you
time
know.
ago. I thought he was taking a minute.
Oh, no, I think he's trying to.
Do you want to answer that one?
This is Kelsey Bless from Children and Family Services. When I read that question from Deb, it does appear that it is regarding the liaisons having access to ND Teach. I can't speak on behalf of that. What I do know from the child welfare side is that case managers within the county or the public agency, it might be the tribe or the Division of Juvenile Services, have a login, and they are able to then do their placement notifications 4 different times throughout the life of a case. Upon entry into foster care, when that child changes their placement, and the school should be notified of that. They do it every fall in September of every year, so that assists with some of the behind-the-scenes components as it relates to the school costs for that child. And then lastly, when that child exits foster care, they're going back in. The connection, and I believe prior to Annie's time, there were conversations regarding how quickly the foster care liaisons in the district are notified. And that is a question that will have to go to the ND Teach folks, because I can't speak to that, and I don't know.
And I can't either. In fact, we want to get together, and they have invited me after this conference, if you guys have your questions, if you can access it, or if it's just the agencies or the child welfare agencies. So if you have those questions, I'm going to write them down, and I'm taking them to ND Teach to see with Don and Kim.
Jennifer asked if foster care workers receive any training. Jennifer, this is Kelsey Bless. All of the foster care case managers are notified of these webinars as they relate specifically to the foster care liaisons in the districts. So they too have been invited by the Department of Public Instruction to join in on these calls. I know originally when ESSA came into fruition, we had a higher volume of county, DJS, and tribal entities participating. I think because this is also recorded, it offers some flexibility in being able to hear the information and learn it. Any information that is submitted to Children and Family Services from the Department of Public Instruction, I do forward that to the county directors and the county supervisors with pertinent information and dates of presentations or training, or if there's forms and things that need to be identified. So case managers are getting it through their proper person.
See, and Jana's question, I've received a lot. How do they see the list? Because you can only see it on North Dakota Teach. So they like to compare, okay, do I have all the students, or am I aware of all the students?
And I'm not sure how that works because that's a DPI thing.
Yeah, well, it's the ND Teach, yeah, because they don't have access. It's just the agency that has access, so we have to look into that too.
And because I'm not a front-end user, if we do have any front-end users from the county, DJS, or the tribe on the call, if you'd be willing to share what you see, because that would be helpful for Annie to take to the meeting she has in relation to the number of kids that you are submitting information on. I think the larger question is somebody in the district is getting notification, but how quickly that gets from that person to the foster care liaison is a bit of a hiccup. And so wanting to just, remedy that a bit. And it looks like, Jennifer, in the Grand Forks area, you've had some success in being able to work with the county. And as soon as your district gets the information, you're working with the worker, it sounds like, from the county. And so I think your example, Jennifer Modine from Grand Forks, is really good about collaborating and partnering and having a good communication with people. The other thing for foster care liaisons in the district to keep in mind is that you're going to have a number of case managers. It's not going to be the same case manager unless you're working with a smaller county, you're from a smaller, more rural area in North Dakota. You may get to work with the same person, but I would say 75% of the time you're going to have multiple case managers who are submitting these notifications to ND Teach. That is the first rule, policy, regulation that foster care case managers have to follow. Their policy says, in order for us to be in compliance with fostering connections, which is our rule, is that we will notify the district of these 4 criteria. And we worked with that since 2008. Now, because of ESSA, the second tier to that is that we will enhance the educational planning on behalf of a child in our care, and that our case plan will replicate that. And then the third piece is that they will work in collaboration with all of you, the foster care liaisons, to ensure that the best interests are kept in mind for the child's case.
And Jennifer has the right idea. Like we said, just have that first placement meeting. Get to know who your social worker is. In a larger district, you are going to have several social workers per foster child.
This is Kelsey again. I'm not certain what the regulation says on the ESSA side, if it has to be face-to-face or if that can be handled through a phone conference to be able to work with the case manager and the foster care liaison to just do a quick update. If that's allowable, that might expedite.
An introduction, yes.
Introduction is fine. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you can do just as long as, even if it's through email or a conference call, then you just document it, that you met and you know who all your contacts are. No, not always, not in the larger districts.
Besides the examples coming out of Region 4 in the Grand Forks area, are there other things that are working well that is helpful for Annie to know as we think about going forward with ESSA and being in compliance, as DPI in North Dakota is having to respond to the compliance standards? What are some things that are going well? And while some of those questions are coming in, again, this is Kelsey. One of the examples that we were given from the folks at DPI with ND Teach is that they were going to explore, and this was history now, it was like last summer that they had talked about this, they were going to explore if there was a way to notify the assigned foster care liaison when a child had a notification entered from the county or tribe or DJS into ND Teach. When that happens, they were going to explore if a notification could go to the liaison directly, but it was my understanding the notification is going to someone in the district. It might be a superintendent, might be a principal.
Yep, and I had a few phone calls where they say it does. You know, the hard copy notification actually goes to the superintendent, and then it slowly goes to the principal, and then it slowly goes to, you know, the point of contact. But now you say that was over the summer conversation, because that's where the difficulty, if you go into ND Teach and where it says the agency of notification, it doesn't have the point of contact on there. And I would like to see it, oh, okay, this is the point of, you know, this is the district liaison, and then it would get sent out. Correct. Excellent.
So on the flip side of questioning what is going really well out there in the field, what are the challenges outside of ND Teach? Not having access to ND Teach, what are some of the other challenges that can be brought to DPI for Annie to explore with this ESSA regulation. In response to the transportation, there's a couple things to keep in mind from the district perspective. Not certain what all of the criteria and the budgets are with each of the regions. We may have been put on hold. But as far as foster care related expenses for transportation, if that child is placed in a licensed provider agency, there are funds available. So making sure that you're questioning the independent or the irregular payments associated with those children in foster care. The case managers have access and knowledge based off some policy that we have in place to ensure if the child is in a licensed placement that we would be able to help support the costs of transportation to keep that kiddo in their school of origin. That's happening right now. I wouldn't say that it is an extremely high number, but we do have children's transportation costs being covered by foster care related expenditures. They have to do transportation. Foster parents, if they're a foster parent, they're going to have a license. They have a very large role in transporting kids to their everyday events. The difficulty comes in when they might have 3 or 4 kiddos in their placement that all have different schools to get to. So case managers do a nice job of helping them coordinate efforts to assist them in keeping the kids in their school of origin, but also working with the bus if the child's old enough that we could assist with busing those children to where they may need to get to their school of origin. And the school bus tickets are allowable for reimbursement too. The foster parent would have to pay for those school bus tickets and we would reimburse them.
Debbie, this is Annie. We have discussed that a couple of times. Is it getting better?
One of the complications that comes from the public agency's perspective, and this is just from history and working with foster care, the placement of that child, for as much as they would want to be completely inclusive with the school district in making decisions that are in the best interest of a child, they may not have the capacity, the timing might not be in their favor. Our crisis response to some of these complications need to be remembered that the primary component to their educational stability is that they are enrolled in school. They need to be going to school. And I've given this example before on these calls that if we have a child coming into foster care on a Friday afternoon, we might know by Monday that grandma lives in Dickinson and that grandma's going to take the kiddos in, and Dickinson School District will then be offering this child services and education. And it's going to be in the best interest of that child. But those decisions were made by the custodial agency on a weekend when they could not speak with a foster care liaison. So historically, we've talked about how do we address that after the fact. And I believe that best interest determination still needs to be completed, and the emergent nature and the crisis-related situation needs to be addressed. And Annie, if you have anything else to add on that.
No, when you fill out the best interest, there are. I mean, I look at some of my foster kids that I've had. It helps on the foster parents' experience, their licensure. You know, I've had one where it's a call and you go from Dickinson when I was living in Wahpeton, and they are placed at that moment. So immediate enrollment is actually ESSA for the educational agencies when they have to immediately, if that child is dropped off, I'm in the school today, they immediately give that state ID to the custodian.
And at the end of the day, the decision maker for a child who's in the care of a public agency is the custodian. And I think we like to ensure that we've done all of our parts and that we have assurances in place to meet the needs of the child. But sometimes when the rubber meets the road, we are going to be stressing that the custodial party is making those decisions sometimes faster than they can get everyone together. Doesn't make it right, just makes it realistic, and then making sure that everyone's on the same page with that because they are the decision maker in the case. So I think they do the best they can in trying to make sure all parties are involved, but some of it happens faster than anticipated. I see the comment regarding we generally hear more from foster parents than we do from social services. And that may be very true for a child who has some good engagement with their district, may be very involved with their class, or the need to have a daily review of behaviors and activities with the school district. You would probably hear from the foster parents, whoever is providing that service to the child, you would have a higher dialogue with them on a daily basis than you would with their case manager. That doesn't mean that the foster parents are not responding to the case managers on these cases on an ongoing basis.
Correct.
He left. I'm just kidding. I think he's outside.
Anything else from anyone else? It looks like we're done typing, and we have half hour left, but we can close up now if we don't have any more questions. Oh, Jennifer. Oh, well, good, Jennifer. That's good to hear. Yes, keep up the communication. That's the number one thing. It's the collaboration and the communication, and we'll get it figured out. And I will talk to those in charge of North Dakota Teach, because that seems to be the biggest. We generally hear more from foster parents. Did you go down? Or is he just repeating? Kelsey and I both agree.
Yeah, everyone is doing the best they can to be in compliance with this, and I think it's baby steps. It takes a little while for everyone to get on the same page. And the difficulty that we have in North Dakota, for as small of a state as we are, we operate on a variety of districts with a variety of rules and regulations that take place in a local level, and that offers some additional challenges to the way we do business from a statewide approach. So I think just the constant communication is helpful, and Annie has really taken on this position from the Department of Public Instruction with some new eyes, and it allows us to be able to ask questions and really work as a team with the education system and the child welfare system. So I appreciate DPI asking Children and Family Services to participate, and will be of assistance as needed in the future.
All right, everyone, I think we are done for the day. I want to thank you, Kara, thank you, Kelsey, and thank you, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Oh, yes, happy holidays. Have the teachers and the point of contacts for education. They get